Yeah, guys, I'm back, and I'm doing another video. So part 4 of Wings of Fire. Wait, can you guys see that? No. Okay. Anyways, so make sure you gotta go read all of them because there's already 3 episodes, so you gotta go read all of them. Okay, now I'm just trying to look where we were. Oh, okay. So I stopped before. So we're on chapter 2, actually. Clay swept the bones of dinner into the river with his tail. He stripped the white shapes, bounced away in the current. Fires flickered around the edges of the great central cave. Ancient space yawned overhead, dripping with like huge teeth. The cave dome was big enough for 6 full-grown dragons to fit across with their wings extended. The underground river flowed along one hall, mutton and underground river gurgling as if it were plotting its own escape. Clay glanced at the 2 small sleeping caves that opened onto the hall, currently empty, and wondered where the other Dragonauts had gone. While he was cleaning up, and the other Dragonauts had gone well away. Ah, yelled a voice behind him. Clay threw his wings over his head. What I do? He yelped. I'm sorry it was an accident, or if it's the extra cow. Dune said I could have it because Webbs would be out late, but I'm sorry and I can skip dinner tomorrow. A small snout poked between his wings. Calm down, silly, Sonny said. I wasn't aiming at you. Oh, Clay smoothed his crest and twist around. Look at her, the smallest and last hatched of the Dragonauts, a pale lizard tail disappearing into her mouth. She grinned at him. That was my fierce hunting cry, she said. Did you like it? It wasn't scary. Well, it was certainly surprising, he said. Lizards again. That's wrong with cows. Bleach too heavy, she said. You look all serious. Just thinking he was glad Kestrel and Dune couldn't read minds like Nightwing dragons. He hadn't been able to stop thinking about the idea of escape, although of dinner. Clay lifted one of his wings, and Sonny nestled in close to him. He could feel the warmth from her golden scales radiating along his side. Radiating along his side. Sonny was too small and the wrong color. Tanny gold instead of sand pale like most sand winds, but she gave off heat like the rest of her tribe. Dune says we should go study for an hour before bed, she said. The others are in the study cave already, Dune, the mired dragon who taught them survival skills, was a sandwind. And so was Sonny. More or less, there was something not quite right about the littlest Dragonaut. Not only were her scales too golden, but her eyes were gray-green instead of glittering black. Worst of all, her tail curled into an ordinary point like the tails of most dragon tribes. Instead of her ending with a poisonous barb that was a sandwind's most dangerous weapon. As Kestrel often said, Sonny was completely harmless. before I keep on reading, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification if you like the book. And yeah, make sure you like. And what good was a harmless dragon, but her egg fit the instructions in the prophecy, so she was the winds of sand. Whether the talons of peace liked it or not, of course there were no winds of rain in the prophecy at all. The Dragonauts had all heard many times over about how Glory was at the last minute for the broken Skywind egg. Kestrel and Dune called her a mistake and growled at her a lot. Nobody knew whether the prophecy could still happen with a rain instead of a Skywind, but from what Clay knew of the Skywinds, he was very glad they had Glory instead of another grumpy, fire-breathing Kestrel under the mountain. Besides, if anyone was likely to mess up the prophecy, it was him, not Glory or Sunny. "Come on, Sunny," said, flicking him with her tail. He followed her across the central cave. Twisting stone tunnels led off in 4 directions, one to the battle area, one to the Guardian's cave, one to the study room, and one to the outside world. The last was blocked with a boulder too big for any of the Dragonauts to move. Clay stopped and pushed against the rock with his shoulder. As they went by, he often tried to open it when the big dragons weren't around. Someday it would be moved when did not. That maybe not a lot, but even a tiny shift would let him know he was finally getting close to full grown. He felt big. He was constantly bumping into things accidentally, knocking stuff over with his tail or wings. Not today, he thought referrally. When the boulder didn't budge, maybe tomorrow. He followed Sunny down the tunnel to the study room. His immersed feet and thick claws thumped and scraped along the stone floor. Even though he'd lived under the mountains his whole life, it still hurt to walk on a bare rock. He was constantly stubbing his talons, and they always arched by the end of the day. Tumcia was strutting around the study cave, barking orders. Sunny and Clay sat down by the entrance, folding their wings back, and breathed of air dripped down from the hole in the roof far overhead. The only window to the outside in any of the caves at night without the distant hint of sunlight. The room felt colder and more hollow. Clay stretched up and sniffed at the darkness that had fallen on the other side of the hole. He thought it smelled like stairs. A map of Pyria hung on the wall between the torches. Tumcia and Starflight loved staring at the map, trying to figure out where their hidden cave was. Starflight was pretty sure they were somewhere under the claws of the clouds. Mountains. Skywinds prefer to live high among the peaks, so anything could happen in the deep caves below without being noticed. All this history is so confusing, Sunny murmured to Clay, swishing her tail back and forth. Why don't the 3 sides just sit down and talk out and end the war? That would be great, Clay said. Then we would stop studying it. Sunny giggled. "Stop that," Tamisia said bossily, stamping her feet at them. "No whispering, pay attention. I'm assigning parts. This is not proper studying." Starflight pointed out his black nightwing scales made him nearly invisible in the dark shadows. Between the torches, he swept a few scrolls between his talons and began to neatly sort them into stacked triangles. "Perhaps I should read everyone instead." "Dear Moons, everything but that glory," said from the ledge above him. "Maybe later when we're trying to fall asleep." Her long, dilated snout, growling in bright green with displeasure, rested on her front claws. Ripped in distant blue shimmered across her scales, and tonight her tail was a swirl of vibrant purples. If it weren't for Glory, Clay thought none of them would know how many colors they were in the world. We wondered what it must be like in the rainforest, where there was a whole tribe of dragons. That beautiful shush, Tamisia scrolled. "Now, obviously, I'd be the best queen, but let's make Sunny the queen, since she is a real sandworm." She blusted over and pushed Sunny into the center of the cave. "Well, sort of," Glory muttered under her breath. Starflight flicked her with his tail. None of the Dragonauts ever talked about why Sunny didn't look like a regular sandworm. Clay guess was that her egg had been taken from the sand too early, maybe. Sandworm eggs needed the sun and desert sand to keep them warm until hatching, or else they'd come out half-baked and funny looking. Although personally he thought Sunny looked just fine. Tamisia tapped her talons on the cave floor, studying her friends. "Clay, you want to play the scavenger?" That's hardly fair," Starflight pointed out. "He's twice Sunny's size. A real scavenger would be smaller than her. Scavengers have no scales, no wings, and no tail. And they walk on 2 legs, which sounds very unstable to me. I bet they fall over all the time. They like treasure nearly as much as dragons." Do the scrolls say scavengers attack, lone dragons steal? Oh my gosh, we know," Glory snapped. We were all here for the frightening lectures about them. "Don't make me come down there and bite you, Starflight." "I'd like to meet a real scavenger," Clay said. "I'd rip off its head and eat it." He pounded his front talons on the stone below him. "I bet it would taste better than the mouthfuls of feathers Kestrel keeps bringing us poor hungry Clay." Sunny teased. "When we're free, we'll go find a scavenger nest and eat all of them." Tamisia promised, nudging Clay with one wing. Sunny blinked at her. "When we're free, oops," Tamisia said, and Clay exchanged glances. Sunny was sweet and trusting and absolutely terrible at keeping secrets. Okay, guys, this is where I'm going to end it here. Goodbye. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification, and like.